Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are most welcome to the State House Diaspora Engagement Webinar Series, the second of its kind since it began. This evening, your moderator is myself, SPA Trade, Philip Kakuru, all the way from South Africa. And we have panelists this evening. With us, we have our host, the head of the State House Diaspora Unit, SPA Muhammad Bagonza. With us, we have the Solicitor, the Deputy Solicitor General, Ouma Charles. With us this evening, we have Andrew Chibumba, who will be joining us later on. We have another panelist, Rani Ismail. Our conversation this evening is on the sovereignty bill, the most contentious, and I take the honor to say that to all the foreigners, you've been heard, and to the agents of the foreigners, you've been listened to. Without much ado, I will give the floor to the chairperson of this meeting and the head of the State House Diaspora Desk to welcome you, SPA Muhammad Bagonza. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you much, Ndugu Kakuru. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the Ugandan diaspora joining us from across the world, good evening. Allow me to welcome you, each one of you. I know you are joining in from different continents, diasporas in North America, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and Asia. We are truly honored to have all of you today to be able to interact with the panelists, the distinguished men and women, Deputy Solicitor General, and Madam Rani, Director Communication and Diplomacy at the Parliament of Uganda. Our colleague Andrew Kibumba is an expert in the litigation, and they will be here to tell us how they feel or how they see the sovereign bill is in shape. We established this webinar series with a clear purpose to create structured, consistent, and meaningful platform through which Ugandans abroad can engage directly with the government. That's why we are bringing these our fellow colleagues from different departments and ministries. And for a long time, many of you have expressed the need for timely information, direct access to government institutions, and a reliable channel through which your voice can be heard. This series is our response to that call, because many times you have been saying you can't see or you can't engage government. As you are aware, the Uganda diaspora continue to play a critical role in the country's socio-economic transformation, from remittances to investment, skills transfer, innovation, and global network, where your contribution is significant and deeply valued. It is therefore only right that the engagement between government and the diaspora is not occasional, but structured and deliberate and continuous. We are honored to lead this engagement, and our office was created for that purpose, to ensure that Ugandans abroad are informed, connected, supported, and their concerns are effectively channeled into government processes. Today's session is very important to our theme is the constitutional and legislative affairs, and we are focusing on matters that have been generated wide concern. Both of you are talking about the protection of the Sovereignty Bill 2026, and we are aware of those concerns that have been raised, especially regarding citizens' rights and the role of diaspora in national affairs. These are important issues that deserve open and informed constructive dialogue. I would like also to assure you that our office is actively working with the diaspora leaders and stakeholders to ensure that your voice are heard. And part of our effort, a memorandum from the Ugandans living in the diaspora was already compiled and submitted to Parliament, and all your leaders appended their signatures, where key issues were captured and recommendation regarding the bill was made. This is exactly the kind of coordinated, structured engagement that we seek to promote, where the diaspora speaks with clarity, purpose, and impact. You will hear from our panelists, led by Mr. Kakuru, Senior Presidential Advisor, who will guide through this important and timely discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, this platform is yours. It is a space for dialogue, clarity, and for solutions. I encourage you to participate actively. Ask the questions which actually many times you have been asking us and on the group. As we move forward, this webinar series throughout the year, you will have the opportunity to interact with government institutions, understand policies, and contribute meaningfully to national development. This is to reaffirm that our office is here to serve you, listen to you, and work closely with you to fulfill our commitment. And your voice can be heard, and no one we shall leave behind. The relationship between government and diaspora continues to grow strong. I thank you, members, for God and my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Bagonza, for your opening remarks. And indeed, the diasporians are more than eager. Are the rest of the panelists here? Like I said, colleagues, to Mr. Omar, who's the Solicitor General. As we are aware, most of us, the Solicitor General is the advisor of government for any law, and he works hand in hand with the Attorney General's office. The purpose for this evening, as you're aware, is the Sovereignty Bill, and we have about 3 or 4 questions. Does Uganda need a Sovereignty Bill when we have so many other bills that are addressing the concerns mentioned in the bill? Secondly, do we need to improve on transparency in terms of how political parties, civil society, and public receive funds or from abroad? Third is the most contentious, the language used in the bill. It is making us non-citizens. Why is the bill making we Ugandans in the diaspora stateless, especially at the time when in the countries where we live, we know that they don't want us. It's all about anti-immigration. In South Africa, there's xenophobia. In America, is anti-immigration. In Europe, is Brexit. And when we are declared foreigners, where does this leave the 3 million Ugandans approximately in the diaspora? And this forms our conversation. So we are going to call upon the Land Attorney General to address. So this is the contention. Then another important issue is we are being declared as agents of foreign funding, for example, by saying that if we send money home, we are foreigners. Our parents who receive the money from us, they are declared as agents of foreigners. The banks that receive the money are agents of foreigners, the herdsman. So does this mean that we are totally getting dissociated with our society back home when the constitution allows us that nobody has the powers to strip us of our citizen rights, because we know very well how one becomes a citizen is by descent. Some of us have a heritage of 200 years. It's by birth, but there is an arbitrary law, like you've seen in the bill, that says that the minister has a right to do so and takes our rights. So that forms part of our conversation in the diaspora, and I will call upon members to send their questions. And with us this evening, we shall be having the chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Committee, who will explain that, is it a train smash? We've submitted our concerns. How long does it take for the bill to become a law? Do we still have a chance? Have our ideas been heard? Then that person will explain, or Madame Rennie will explain to us, to allay our fears that there is still room for having been heard. Without much ado, I would like to yield the floor to the Land Attorney General to explain to us what is all this law about, and then I will pick up questions from the rest of the audience. Somebody will write the name and the questions, and I will read those questions to the Land Solicitor General. Over to you, Mr. Uma. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. I'm very privileged to join you for this engagement. Yeah, we are here at an inflection point, I believe, on a matter which has stirred quite a bit of debate countrywide. And I think we should all be very grateful as a people, as Ugandans, that society is generally tuned up on matters concerning governance. So just to give some structure to all of this, um, the Office of the Attorney General, or the Attorney General's Chambers as it's known, forms part of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. So the Attorney General is a political appointee. The Office of the Solicitor General is that of the top civil servant in the Attorney General's chambers. So we are technical people, but we have a leadership, a political leadership. The Attorney General, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and the Deputy Attorney General. That's our political leadership. So getting back to this matter, the Protection of Sovereignty Bill. The bill itself, you must have read, I believe. It has a memorandum. It talks about defects in existing law, the remedies proposed in the bill, the provisions of the bill, preliminaries, protection of sovereignty. It then breaks it down to different parts of the bill. There's a risk in sometimes already referring to this as a law. I tend to try and remind people it's still a bill for an act of parliament. So it is still a work in progress. And that means that contributions from different quarters of society is still expected. So I think to give focus to the discussion around this bill, I'll go back to the questions that were raised by Mr. Kakulu. Whether Uganda deserves a sovereignty bill. Sovereignty is about independence of mind, body, and soul of a nation. It's about a people making a determination about what they want to be, how they want to be governed, and what future they aspire. Is there? Can I continue? Or is that some feedback?
Yes, continue, sir. I can continue.
Okay, please. So, whether Uganda deserves a sovereignty bill is a question that can be a toss-up there, but I think on the side of government, we believe it's very important. It is basically an actualization of Article 1 of the Constitution about sovereignty being derived from the people of Uganda. Now, questions to do with acts of parliament of this nature pertaining to sovereignty are not akin to only Uganda. Last week, I was having a forum conversation on the Frontline NBS, and I basically just decided to give 3 anecdotes. Okay? I think it's important that I repeat them here, because then that informs why you need this kind of bill. So I gave a couple of examples. The first one,
Sorry,
we
hold
may
on.
need some people
Will
to
you
mute.
please mute our devices and we listen? Thank you.
Yeah, so I gave a couple of examples. And these examples came from 2 particular nations that are highly prosperous.
A point
very
of
diverse.
order, Comrade Ouma, members would like to see your face. Tofa, if you can really work on that, they would like to see him submitting. Thank you.
Okay, my video here shows that it's on, but I think there's a bit of a problem. As he works on that, let me continue. So the first example I gave was that in 1796, George Washington, just before he left office of President of the United States, hinted to the American people that they should beware. They should be aware of the risk of foreign interests getting into the American society and thereafter affecting how they develop as a nation, how they grow, how they design their policies going forward. And then about 1856 or 1852, the Congress of the United States jointly, that is both the House of Representatives and the Senate, made a joint resolution where they, again, decided and resolved that they as a community, as the American people, should be aware of the wiles of foreign interests. Okay, the insidious wiles of foreign interests that may be very interested in affecting how they operate as a nation, but also with the desire to affect their policy development. That is in America. And following that, in 1938, they enacted the Foreign Agents Registration Act, which has been amended over time. Now, that is just an example from the US. In Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew one time addressed issues to do with foreign interests and intervention in matters national within the Singaporean government. And the point he raised,
have a meeting.
Colleagues, can we try to mute, please? Thank you.
yeah, and the point that he raised was that this is Lee Kuan Yew addressing British and Australian journalists, I think some American journalists too, and he said that there was an attempt to interfere with the way the Singaporean government was running its affairs, and possibly also to elicit information about how it's running its affairs. So there was an attempt to bribe an officer of the special branch. who in turn refused the bribe from the Americans, but also went ahead and reported to his chief, who in turn reported to Lee Kuan Yew. So the option was to either prosecute the Americans, it was a CIA agent, and in order to just have the matter go away, there was a proposal that, you know what, let's give you $100 million as Singapore, and for you, Lee Kuan Yew, we can give you $10 million for this matter just to go away. Now, I'm giving these examples as what sometimes we call foreign interference, and what we therefore could identify as the purpose for the need for the sovereignty bill. So the sovereignty bill, or the protection of sovereignty bill as we have it right now, basically is a bill to regulate foreign interference, or in certain cases, foreign influence in the matters of the affairs of Uganda. So as a nation, obviously as a people, we have vested authority in government, and we do that every 5 years. This mandate is given to government to take into consideration our national interests. These national interests may also include our foreign policy interests. So when government is vested with this authority, and government then makes a determination and says, all right, it would be opportune for us to put in place an act of parliament which manifests or buttresses or actualizes what is in Article 1, then I think that is a mandate that the people should definitely have upheld. Now, the question may be, is this power that we are talking about moving from the people to the executive? I know there's a lot that has been alluded to in terms of the kinds of power that has been vested in some offices within the bill. I'll go to that later on when I'm talking about the details of the bill. But to answer the first question, I believe we deserve a sovereignty bill, and the issue for discussion may be to what extent should this bill go? All right. What kind of elements should we be discussing in this particular bill? Now, what the government of Uganda has presented is a proposal. A bill by its nature is a proposal. It has been presented to the public through Parliament. Parliament, and particularly the plenary or the Speaker, has referred it to two committees, not only one, but two committees, Legal Affairs and then the one for Internal and Defense. Now, these are scrutinizing this bill. They have invited the public to make submissions. Indeed, there's been quite a lot of participation, not only in the media space, but also before these committees. So I believe that the committees will take into consideration the views that have been espoused before them, before they present a report to the plenary. And it's at the plenary where a full debate will go on account of the things that they have taken note of. Now, second question was whether we need to improve transparency or accountability of funding for political parties. I think this conversation has gained traction over the years on account of what possibly the majority of people are now recognize as the commercialization of politics. So, yes, I think this is an area that needs to be seriously considered. I know the Political Parties Organization and Organizations Act makes attempts, but I think there is need for more transparency, where you are getting your funding from, how you are accounting for the funds that you use, because accountability shouldn't only be expected on the part of government. And when I say government, I mean the government, not and I mean the state. I'm not talking about the party that's running the state. Political party financing has got to be dealt with across the board. Is the language used in the bill appropriate? And I think particular reference is made to the definition of the word foreigner. Yes, I know it's a very emotive issue. It's a very sensitive issue. But I would like all of us to address these definitions in the context of the bill. The bill, by referring to, say, a Ugandan who is not resident here, a Ugandan citizen residing outside Uganda as a foreigner, does not oust your citizenship. Bills, by their nature, are designed and have a particular purpose, and it's restricted to that. So if at all you're making reference to a definition within a bill, it can only be restricted to that particular bill. It might sound condescending, almost insulting, but I would like to let you know that it's general draftsmanship. I'll give you a couple of examples. You see, in Article 257, Clause 1, Paragraph L of the Constitution, government is defined as government of Uganda. But if you look at this proposed bill, for instance, government of Uganda includes local governments. So it may appear like it's a departure, but actually it is for purposes of this bill. In the Income Tax Act, there is a definition of a non-resident. In common English parlance, non-resident means someone who does not reside in a particular place, or possibly resides outside a particular place. But in the Income Tax Act, it restricts a non-resident for the purposes of that tax law and says a non-resident is someone who spends minimum 183 days outside the country for a 12-month period. So for every definition in a particular bill or in a particular law, please restrict it to that law. Like the Constitution gives you all a layout on what citizenship is, how you acquire it, even how you may lose it. So, and remember, the Constitution is the grand norm. So your citizenship isn't ousted by this definition. But if it's a very sensitive and emotive matter, there's always a way to recraft it to ensure that the purpose isn't lost. Now, the other question was whether Ugandans should be declared, I think, agents of foreigners. In a way, it's still related to the first question, but I'll go beyond what I've just highlighted. Agency, and I request that we try to understand it from the principles of principle and agency. The definition in the draft bill, or in this bill for an act, goes to define an agent of a foreigner to mean a person who acts as an agent, representative, employee, or servant, or any person who acts in any other capacity at the order, request, or under the direction or control of a foreigner or of a person, any of whose activities are directly or indirectly supervised, directed, controlled, financed, or subsidized by a foreigner. Now, I have had a lot of commentary on this issue. I've listened to economists, I've listened to tourism operators, I've listened to religious leaders, I've listened to bankers, I've listened also to the central bank. And fundamentally, I think one particular point is being missed in all of this. It's about the application of this bill, and that is in clause 2. Now, Clause 2 basically puts a package of what the application of this bill is all about. And when you read through it, having read also the long title of the bill, it is targeting funding particularly or engagement of persons that has an effect on development of policy by the Ugandan government. So if, for instance, there is funding to influence the development of policy of government, or funding to influence the public to oppose the policy of government, or the promotion of the interests of a foreigner, or the funding of political parties, organizations, or any person contesting for an election, or representing the interests of a foreigner before any agency or official of the government of Uganda. That is where the area of applicability is. I know of one concern, one great concern is particularly paragraph B, which is soliciting, collecting, disbursing, or dispensing contributions, loans, money, or other things of value for or in the interest of a foreigner. And the interpretation that seems to be bubbling in all this commentary, by the way, is what if person X, say in the US, has an aunt in Uganda who needs medical assistance, and this person X sends money to Aunt Y to Uganda? Would they be treated? Would their aunt be treated as an agent of a foreigner? And the answer to that is no. This is a private, commercial, domestic issue between two relatives, two kinsmen. What has that got to do with government policy? What has that got to do with elections in Uganda? It's got nothing to do with that. Now, maybe, and I personally realize where possibly the misunderstanding of all of this is. You know, in legal practice, we have what we call, especially in interpretation of laws, what we call the jus dem generis principle. Okay, it's Latin for of the same kind. So when you are interpreting these laws, they may be in a basket. Every one of them, every clause you pick out of those has got to rhyme and match the rest. Okay? It's a legal canon of construction. So it limits broad general language in any document and restricts it to the same specific class or nature. So this is to ensure that whatever you have captured in that basket is consistent. So what is in B, which has been of great concern for especially this Ugandan who says, I don't want to play politics, mine is basically just to enhance the livelihood of my family. This particular provision does not pertain to you. It is basically talking about whoever is getting money, say from some foreign principal, for purposes of a Ugandan agent to finance operations which have a knock-on or domino effect on government policy, or may have the capacity to influence elections in Uganda, possibly through political parties. So for me, this is not about your typical transaction through, say, Western Union between family members, okay, MoneyGram. No, it's not about that. So, in a context, I've tried to address the questions directly, but definitely I know there may be broader questions around this bill. in the interest of time, I would allow for possibly questions so that I address the questions directly. Otherwise, we'll talk about this bill until the cows come home. It's one
Okay.
of the very sensitive bills. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Charles Ouma. Members, you've heard, you've listened, and the rationale for bringing the bill. There is a question from Mr. Robert Kam. He says, from AUU, I don't know what is that. He says, if the bill is to regulate foreign influence, how does the Ugandan sending money to their parents or spouses affect sovereignty? That's one question. Let me pick another member. Any hands up? Dr. Manoj, Brian, members here? Anybody with a question? If not, the other questions that... okay, yes, over to you, sir.
A very, very enlightening explanation and historical context from USA and from Singapore, which is all very fine. We are not against the sovereignty bill. What we are asking is clarity of purpose, and we are asking for removing the uncertainty. The law is too broad, it risks unintended targets, and more importantly, from my point of view, the definition of citizenship should be very precise, and judicial oversight. How can one minister, one person can be responsible for a massive impact, just simply in terms of revenue of $2.5 billion coming in? We cannot have one person responsible without an oversight, and we want independent oversight of all activities, never mind this particular bill. We want an oversight on every activity of government policy, rules, regulations, because it is for the people of Uganda that we are working for and fighting for a long time. And it's the common person who is in the poor state. How are we going to uplift that person? So we must not throw the baby out of the bathwater. I submit.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj.
Thank you very much for that question.
Can I take the third question so that you can answer maybe 3 at a time? Thank you.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Another question, colleagues? Colleagues, are we still there, alive and kicking?
Yes.
Okay, Samuel Kitone. Who's speaking, Samuel Kitone or iPhone?
Samuel.
Okay, go ahead.
Chair, this is Andrew Chibumba. Chair, can I say something?
Yes, please go ahead, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay. The first question is it right for me to respond at this time or at a later stage?
You are right to respond at every presentation phase, because after the Solicitor General, we're going to give the chairperson of the legal committee, Honorable Baka, to also make his remarks, and people can ask to know the stages of the bill and how far we are. So you are at liberty to ask questions, then we can proceed. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, and how much time do I have?
2 minutes max, for the interest of everyone here. Thank you. Okay, you'll be getting another chance.
As a panelist, will it do me justice?
Okay, over to you, Andrew. Let's make them 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, one of the challenges we have in the explanation is on whether we are taking the discussion on sovereignty from an honest point of view. You know, Chair, the aspect of sovereignty comes from the aspect of a state. And we need to be mindful on answering on people understanding what a state is, what makes up a state, and how do we eventually arrive at a point of sovereignty. And if you're discussing sovereignty, what is the sovereignty that we are talking about? Chair, For a purpose of a state like Uganda, it runs on 4 major elements. And that's the population, which is a human community. And that is the purpose for which we are here. We have a fixed territory, but that is not an issue. But we shall call jurisdiction in my discussion. We have a government, which is, of course, that everybody knows. And now that's the 4th element to come to is sovereignty. I want to agree with the submission of my senior Charles, in part, because the elements that he left out in defining what sovereignty means for the purpose of the bill. Within this, we are talking about freedom from foreign control. So the overriding factor here should be about a foreign state, not nationals with citizenship. A foreign state or a state outside Uganda. So you're looking at the long title to this bill. It brings out an element of an agent of a foreigner. And if you look, for those that have done development studies at a higher level beyond bachelors, you'll understand that development takes place in stages. And as a state is formed, a country like Uganda will have embassies. And should you declare its people foreigners, it means you are killing one of the executive organs of a state. All those ambassadors that are outside the country will have to close shop because there are no people to be attended to by virtue of them not being citizens of their countries. So it leaves them in space. They don't belong to the host nations, neither do they belong to the states where they have come from. So now, the first element of the organ of a state is broken because it does not have foreign outreach, especially for its citizens. Let me give an example, Chair. For over 3 countries, where there are more nationals outside those countries, there are more Rwandans out of Rwanda than those in Rwanda. Look at Lebanon. Look at Israel. There are more Jews out of Israel than those in Israel. Now, with this population growth and the trajectory of trade and labor, where so many of our brothers are leaving the country, how do we answer the question of holding a population that cannot be properly accommodated within the precincts of this country, but are outside and are holding those papers? Issue 2, we are having a conflict in policy development. Whereas Parliament has to work hand in hand with the executive, there has been a drive funded by the State House and championed by His Excellency the President, where services like registration of national IDs, passport renewals, campaigns on foreign remittances, purchase of bonds and bills, and then calling Ugandans to return home for further investment. Now we are having a cap on how much should be brought back, who is supposed to be called a citizen and who is a foreigner. And nobody seems to give accurate answers to these questions without so much explanation. Issue number 3, for the interest of time. All those that have understood the definition of a state and how a state arises, you'll agree with me that the smallest unit of a state is a homestead. As long as you don't have a homestead or a home, you don't have a state. And whoever wants to break the fabric of any state starts from a social perspective, which is a home. Here we are separating a father and a son, a mother and a daughter, graduating one as a foreigner and calling another an agent. I want to tell you that whereas you want this law so bad, we should be mindful of breaking down the state through its minute social fabric, which is a homestead. And throughout the discussions, I've not seen anybody that has come up with this sensitive point, but that's where everything starts from. There is in jurisprudence, there is a philosopher called, a number of them, Roscoe Pound, Von Jering, and the argument of the development or evolution of the law was premised on a social perspective. And their basic argument was, I quote, that the law is as a result of the social welfare of the people. Now, discussing the social welfare principle, by the attention that this law has gathered and the backlash coming from the people, it is so evident that we have a challenge, because the problem we're solving now was envisaged a long time ago and was solved. Chair, I've had the opportunity to address my mind to the Anti-Money Laundering Act, which empowers the Financial FIA, Financial Insurance Authority. Chair, the mandate of FIA is to curb money laundering and terrorist activities. To curb money laundering and terrorist activities. Chair, I want to tell you that a segment of the laws that talk about the financial element are already covered under the Money Anti-Money Laundering Act, with a whole body that is supposed to implement those particular laws. Finally, on number 4, but it's the final discussion I wanted to put to the attention of the Solicitor General. The law in itself is a hybrid law. The ambiguity in so many articles has a number of existing laws where the proposed articles in the bill are supposed to be amendments for particular sections in the other acts. Let me give an example of some of them. The Penal Code Act. There are actions and penalties provided in the bill that would fit in the Penal Code Act because they're already catered for. There are sections in the Protection of Sovereignty Bill that fit squarely in the Anti-Money Laundering Act and should be covered there. There are sections, proposed sections in the Sovereignty Bill that fit squarely under the UPDF Act. There are sections in this bill that fit in the FIA Act. Now, I do not understand why the Solicitor General does not take into consideration getting these acts or getting this particular bill. We dissect the bill in 2 different sections of the law that fit as proposed amendments in the already existing laws. Where I'm wrong, I request to be corrected, but I beg to submit that way. Thank you so much for being on for this.
Thank you, Advocate Andrew Chibumba. Those are the words of a land pharaoh versus the land leader. So thank you very much. May I ask the audience that we finish the submission of the panelists? Honorable Ouma, you've got the questions. And now let's go to the chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Committee, Honorable Baka, Bukoli County Constituency MP. Are you present, sir? Honorable Baka was supposed to be one of the panelists. If Honorable Baka is not here, is Honorable Rani Ismail present among the panelists? Because I would like to introduce to you the panelists.
Present, sir.
All right, you'll be the next presenter. Let me, colleagues, Rani Ismail, she's one of the communicators, because we've had the language being used here, foreigner agent, and it seems the language is becoming not palatable. So we are glad to have an expert, Rani Ismail. She's a director of international collaboration for the Parliament of Uganda and a communication strategist, and who has worked as a leader, the former director of lead of government business, and has worked at the highest level of coordination, bridging the gap between the executive priorities and the legislative action. She has advanced training from the House of Commons and parliamentary processes. She's an expert in policy, on foreign policy, and uniquely, she's here to discuss the sovereignty bill. So with your experience, Madam Rani, would like you to make your presentation to the audience of diasporians, since you are a very passionate diasporian, and one of them. Over to you, the floor is given. You've heard the concerns from the two panelists, and I will ask the audience to record whatever questions they have for you after your submission, then you respond. Over to you, Madam Rani Ismail. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. I want to say good evening to everybody and good morning to other people. We're in different zones. I want, first of all, I'm so happy to be part of this because we have the proposed legislation with us in Parliament. I want to, first of all, explain that it is not yet law. The processes are on. This legislation was brought, the proposed legislation rather, was brought on the 15th of April. And as usual, Parliament, there are procedures under which a proposed legislation becomes law. I am happy to note that Charles had explained the contents and the principles of the legislation. I will just discuss the processes. I know Rotarian Andrew has discussed and he has brought all his expertise on it. But just to mention that the proposed legislation is with two committees, and not just any other committee. The Committee on Defense and the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. Just to bring this to the attention of the audience tonight, these are very well-composed committee with senior lawyers, senior legislators, and when you look at the Defense Committee, it really caters for our sovereignty, our defense, and our matters. When you look at matters that you're talking about, I want to say that from the 15th to now, we've been busy. We have been getting so many stakeholders, equivalent to 50 and above. And as much as there's a lot of information out there, we are yet to receive the report of these committees. I'm very sure the chair would not even want to comment because they are yet to meet, they are yet to discuss. From there, the committee will make a report and the committee will look into the report by themselves, agree, bring it on the table. And when this is the second reading, the committee's report will be debated Amendments will be got from there, recommendations, and these recommendations are coming from the stakeholders who are here. I can tell you we have listened from the Lango sub-region, we have listened from the Uganda sub-region, we have listened from, from all the sub-regions of Uganda. We've listened from the Rotary, from the religious leaders, from individuals of civil society, from political parties, because I had my senior Charles almost saying political parties, from the lawyers as well. So all this information is going to be incorporated in the report. Just to allay your fears, it is not yet law. As we are talking, there's also ideas that are coming from here that are going to be incorporated into the bill. So when the report comes on the floor, it is rich. It will be with amendments. So this legislation is going to be amended, and thereafter we shall have a fine legislation. I just wanted, as Mr. Kakuru was talking about, semantics, foreigners, who is a foreigner, who is not a foreigner, who is a Ugandan, who is not a Ugandan. I want to say in every presentation that was brought on the floor, on the floor of the committee room, not in the house, the issue of foreigner was interpreted differently. Well-composed committee with technical assistance, with the chairpersons, and I'm confident that by the time this legislation comes to be enacted, it will be refined, and all that concern that has been brought forward will be handled. For now, I can submit that. The chair has joined us, Honorable Baka. I can see him.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I would just say that we are still in the process of making this into law. It's not yet law. So we need to calm down the population. However, I would also want to request that there are 30 clauses in the bill. Are we just looking at one? I'm throwing this question back to you. Are we looking at two? Are we looking at one? Are we looking at what? It as the committee is going to look at it. And knowing that this is all for the good of our country, I've been in the diaspora myself. When people make noise, I know what they are saying. I am here, and I've worked with most of the people who are in this team today that I'm seeing. It is for the good of our country that we have something accepted by all. And I know, I'm confident, Parliament will bring it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Rani, for your kind words. You are telling us to rest our fears that indeed we are not foreigners. We shall be called Ugandans or defined in a different way. Hopefully the members will respond. And members, you can reserve your questions to Honorable Ismail after the presentation. Next will be Honorable Baka, the chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Committee, who has been receiving over 600 memorandums now so far. So, Honorable Baka, you are next. You can talk to the members of the Diaspora Ugandans. Mind you, this is just a fraction. There are about over 3 million Ugandans in the diaspora. So give your submissions if you've just joined us. The matter is about the sovereignty bill. There are so many clauses that we talk about, and the members will raise them. But from the preamble, we said the definition of foreigner, the agent. In your absentia before you joined, we had quite a number of issues: sending money, remittances, political party participation, policy formulation, are things at the heart of the diasporians participate in the social and political issues of their country. So with this, we see we are being deprived of that. We see the super minister. Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Baka.
Philip, Honorable Baka is online with me. His microphone isn't working, but he's going to submit. Can he do the submission through my phone?
And unmute him. We can unmute him. Tofa.
They're unmuting you. Okay,
Tofa,
Tofa, can you unmute Honorable?
Topher, kindly unmute him.
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah, because he didn't speak through the phone of the lady.
No problem. He's asking, is he on?
Topher.
Yes, he's on.
You're on, Honorable.
You get me clearly now?
Yes,
A
Can you
loud
little
hear
and
bit.
him?
clear. Yeah, go ahead,
No.
Honorable.
All right, thank you. Good evening to Ugandan.
Good evening to you, comrade leader. Ugandans are listening, Honorable Baka. Honorable Baka, we are waiting to hear from you. We heard you a little bit.
I think you definitely have to use my phone. You might not have another choice.
Okay. It's all right. You can go ahead through your phone. Honorable Chairperson. Are you managing?
I'm not managing to hold him after you chased him.
Okay, that's Honorable Topher. You can get in touch with him direct, or
Yes, and link him up.
Mr.
Okay.
Topher.
We are working on that. Let's see how we can get him on board.
Okay.
Okay, as you get him on board, can I take one or two questions in the meantime? Because we need to utilize every minute we have. I saw the members whose hands were up. One was Brian Kwesiga, the former UNA president. I saw another hand up that was Topher. Can we get some members to ask questions to either Rani or the Land Attorney General or to the advocate?
The alternative would be to answer some of the questions that have already been asked.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let me just address, I think the first question was about family members, money to a family member, how does that affect sovereignty? And I think I addressed that in my preamble, that this particular law does not envisage that category of persons. So matters private, domestic, is not one of those that is envisaged under this law. I know, yes, people would rush to refer to clause 2.
Yes, sir. We've lost you, Honorable Omar.
Sub clause 1.
Hello?
Yeah. Clause 2. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you now.
Yes. Yeah, what I was saying is that there's the first question with regard to a family member sending money to a kinsman or a kinswoman. And I think particular reference is being made to clause 2(2)(b). What I highlighted is that in what we call legal balance, a jusdem generis, is that that particular clause has got to be looked at in the context of the broader applicability of this law. It is basically about funding associated with influence of development of policy of government, influence of the public to oppose the policy of government, facilitating or engendering the interests of foreigners in Uganda here, matters to do with elections. So issues to do with money between a family member to another is not one of those envisaged under this law. Now, if the interpretation of that may be a little complicated for the ordinary person, definitely I would be one of those in support of fine-tuning that particular provision to make sure that all these concerns that we are hearing from the populace is addressed. Now, the issue to do with the role of a minister and his oversight, how can one man have all this power to to make certain declarations and determinations, particularly on one's status, is it citizenry or the foreignness of that person. This kind of law or provision, again, is not new. We have several laws that vest certain authorities or powers in a minister. But one thing that we have got to always appreciate is that if a person in government is vested with such authority, they have got to judiciously exercise that power. It is not by a snap of a finger, whimsically. Okay, you just don't wake up one day and say, no, I'm making a certain declaration. It has got to be judicious and within the context of the law. Now, the issue I think which was raised is what guardrails do we have in case we have a rogue minister who abuses this authority? Can there be redress in a court of law? Now, because this is an administrative act, you are entitled under the Judicial Review, under the Judicature Act and the Judicial Review rules of this country to challenge that decision, or that administrative decision of a minister. So that can be challenged in court. If at all he makes a decision which goes and runs totally or contrary to natural justice. The last one was about, okay, all these other laws, why can't we fit the provisions, some of the provisions that we have in the Protection of Sovereignty Bill in currently existing laws, laws cited, for instance, as the Anti-Money Laundering Act. And this tends to come up quite a lot. Now, what people need to understand that the AMLA, what we call Anti-Money Laundering Act, is intended to regulate, but also to mitigate and curb illicit funding or illicit money movements. So we're talking about illicit money movement. In this Protection of Sovereignty Bill, it's not about illicitness of money. It is about money and what it's being used for. Okay, what it's being used for might not necessarily be illicit, but it might have some kind of negative ripple effect on policy formulation and development for a country. Some foreign interests might want to push certain policy agenda, but we might say, no, as a country, we want to go another way. So there's nothing particularly illicit about it. It might best be something ideological. So, and then what government wants to do is regulate, make a determination, and also understand what is coming in for who, for transparency's sake. So those are responses I thought I needed to give with regard to the questions that were raised. I don't know whether the Honorable Baka is on now.
Tofa, did you get a hold of Honorable Baka, or I can call him?
I suggest, Philip, you call Honorable Baka.
Okay, I'm calling him. Let's hope he's picking up. Okay, Honorable Baka. Okay, I have him. Honorable Baka. Hello, sir. Hello, Chair.
Hello.
Yes, Chair. How are you? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you very well.
Okay, you are loud and clear to the members. You can speak through my phone, then give your inputs. These are members of the Ugandan diaspora community.
Thank you.
And you have 5 minutes to make your case, and you are aware what is happening and why you are here. Speak to the members. With us, the rest of the panelists. You have Mr. Charles Ouma, the Deputy Solicitor General. You have Rani Ismail, and you have an advocate, Mr. Mr. Chibumba Andrew Chibumba, not Adam. Andrew Chibumba. So those are the rest of the panelists. So you have an audience of the diaspora of Ugandans from North America, South, East Asia, all over. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Stephen Baka Mugabi. I represent Bukoli County North. I'm one outgoing MP. I'll be ending my term in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I didn't contest in the general elections. I chair the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Uganda, and this is my third term in Parliament. The bill was referred to the two committees, the one I chair, which is Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, and the Committee on Defense and Internal Affairs. I want to appreciate the panelists, Mr. Charles Ouma, Ran Ismail, and the other colleagues who have spoken. On radio TV trying to explain the bill. I really appreciate that. Now, this bill, because of lack of time, I will try to rush through, has suffered 2 or 3 problems. The first problem is that there has been a lot of misinformation. Misinformation in that the understanding of the bill has been very low. People picked up a few issues and have been just riding on that. How do you declare Ugandans in the diaspora foreigners? That has been the catchword everywhere in the villages, on the radios, on TV. I was recently in my village and I was approached by my constituents. How do you declare our children who are in the diaspora foreigners? Now, Mr. Uma has tried to explain this, and I want to appreciate that. The second problem is that, truth be told, there was an overreach by the drafters of the bill, or the move of the bill, and the sponsors of the bill, the Minister for Internal Affairs and the Attorney General, and Mr. Uma and all the others who sponsored and brought this bill. There was an overreach in that I think it was just overzealousness. They overstepped some parameters because, as I will tell you later, we had a meeting today with the Attorney General, and he acknowledged that it is true the bill requires substantial surgery, and that is a plus which I will comment on later. So that's the second problem that the bill has suffered. The bill had a legitimate concern to address issues of sovereignty, which any state, every state, any serious state would address. And it is absolutely legitimate trying to protect the sovereignty of its people. That one is a given. The problem, as I said, has been, I think, overzealousness of the drafters and the promoters of the bill to overstep certain parameters, as we have heard the complaints from the public. So, what has happened is that as a committee, we took a decision deliberately to give enough time to the process of listening to stakeholders. We started the other week on Thursday, listening to the promoters and the sponsors of the bill, the Minister for Internal Affairs and the Attorney General. We gave them a whole day. We interacted with them. And then on Friday, we met over 30 stakeholders on Friday, starting from 10 a.m. up to 8 p.m. in the evening. Monday, again, we had the whole day, starting from morning up to evening. Yesterday, we had the whole day, starting from morning up to evening. And we have given our stakeholders ample time. All stakeholders who expressed interest have been listened to. We gave them ample time. We interacted with them. They asked questions. We answered questions. We asked for clarification. They gave us written memoranda. And every idea, every matter, every stakeholder view that has been given to us is going to be given due attention. Yesterday, also in the morning, I want to say, we had an opportunity to listen to stakeholders in the diaspora under the umbrella of Global Diaspora Association, I think, led by Narule Gloria from New York. We also had Timothy. Timothy, I think, also is from New York. And then Brian, I think, comes from somewhere in the States. So those three addressed us on issues of the diaspora. Yesterday, it was a Zoom meeting, addressed the committee, and they had very interesting and credible proposals. First of all, they recognized that sovereignty is a matter that any serious country should be able to address. But then they went ahead to address all the issues that have been addressed by most people, the issues of definitions, the issues of the impact on the economy, the issues of the sweeping powers of the minister, and all the other issues that you have heard. So we have had an opportunity to hear from the diaspora, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers of this meeting who have made it possible for us again to listen in and to be able to take more views. So as we stand now, we have listened to over 60 stakeholders, organizations, government organizations, NGOs, individuals, faith-based organizations, business entities, universities, students, ordinary people. We had a group of women from Masaka, all women in their 70s, who came and they appeared, and we gave them an opportunity to speak in Uganda. And they're talking about the misinformation. They told us about Uganda and Obiru, bagenda kusiba abana baffe abali wabweru. Ate ne mwanyi zaffe tezigenda kufuna akatali. But we gave them an opportunity and we listened to them. But that gives you the other issue I told you about, that there was a bit of some misinformation. So overall, as I conclude, one, we want to agree and concur with the population that the bill has so many rough edges. Rough edges in that the bill, if implemented in its state, will go a long way in destroying our economy, will go a long way in destabilizing many sectors of the economy, will go a long way in narrowing and shrinking the civic space, will go a long way in discriminating our own people. We cannot come up and describe our own people as foreigners under the bill as it is. But the good news, and which I want to announce, is that today we had a meeting with the Attorney General, with my co-chairperson, and the move of the bill, the Minister for Internal Affairs, the Speaker of Parliament, and the Speaker of Parliament. And in that meeting, we were trying to ask the Attorney General whether he has been listening to the stakeholder views, because he told us that he would be on TV to listen to all the views. He would not be in the committee, but he said he would be on TV, but also he would send his representatives in the committee. The Attorney General acknowledged that he has been indeed on TV. He had also received our communication, because yesterday, immediately we completed our meeting, we sent the Attorney General all the issues that came up in the stakeholder consultations. And he acknowledged that those views are legitimate, and he considered that he is going to agree to most of the amendments that the committee will come up, in the spirit of making sure that the bill only captures the objective of the bill, which is protecting the sovereignty of the people of Uganda, without hurting anyone and without having to go into what I call the overreaches of affecting would-be innocent Ugandans, like people in the diaspora, sending remittances for ordinary family support, ordinary investments. All those matters have been agreed to between the chairpersons of the committee, the speaker attended the meeting, and the sponsor of the bill, who is the Minister for Internal Affairs. So the Attorney General has, in principle, agreed that amendments are going to be acceptable in the spirit of improving the bill. And tomorrow at 10 a.m., the committee is meeting the Attorney General to see which amendments we can put to the bill to ensure that the bill comes out clean without having to affect anyone. Of course, we have had submissions from the Governor Bank of Uganda, from civil society, from everyone, and all those are going to be taken care of. Of course, the first casualty, even before tomorrow's meeting, I know is going to be the definition of a foreigner. That one definitely is going to be the first casualty, that we cannot describe our own people as foreigners. So those matters are going to be handled tomorrow, and I intend that at the end of tomorrow's meeting, I intend to carve the nerves of Ugandans by telling them what will have happened in our meeting, which will be to the effect that amendments have been acceptable to the move of the bill, and the committee is now ready to proceed to debate clause by clause to ensure that we come up with a good law. So precisely and shortly, briefly, that matter on table, and just as Rani said, the bill is a bill, it's not a law yet. Many things are going to be done to it in the form of amendments to ensure that we capture all the concerns of our people. So for now, that's what I can say, and I want to thank the organizers of this meeting for giving me an opportunity to present. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Baka, for the great good news. I think diasporians can drink some whiskey this evening and relax and drink some tea, because when you are disenfranchised, I will quote the words of one great revolutionary called Major General Gisa Rwigema. On the 1st of October 1990, he said, "We are fighting for two things, identity and recognition. We cannot be taken whether we go to Tanzania, we are taken as this. We go to Uganda, we are not acceptable. We go to Congo, we are nobody. Now, when we are declared stateless, what do you expect from the innocent diasporians that you are calling foreigners? We are glad that that has been addressed. And secondly, thank you for being a listening government, a listening parliament, because that's what it's all about. Dialogue, constructive engagement. Otherwise, we would have categorized this to simply reflect the common man's charter of Milton Obote that made the people rise against the state. Because if you say 3 million Ugandans have nowhere to belong, we are being chased in America, we are being cut throats in South Africa in xenophobia, Britain is saying Brexit, the Arabs are saying you are slaves. Where else do you expect us to be? We need a place in our home because that's the only home we know. And we are citizens by ancestry, we are citizens by birth, and by virtue of sending money home, we cannot be called economic saboteurs. I think that's a very strong language. And when you say that we cannot participate in the political space, we are very much aware we were granted the right to even vote. Now we are being disenfranchised in twofold. So as the chairperson of the legal committee, before you leave your term of office, you're aware that diasporians have been yearning for the right to vote is one of the things. Since now you are saying our sovereignty is being stripped of our citizenship, why don't you include that in the recommendations that since these fellows have got an opportunity, let's grant them the right to vote and be heard once and for all.
As a matter of fact, we have discussed this matter with the Electoral Commission severally in our meetings, and there is an enabling law that can enable our people in the diaspora to vote. So this particular election of 2026, they were supposed to have started the piloting with the East African countries, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Sudan, but I don't know what happened, but I think it was on matters of financial resources, but not the law. The law is there to enable our people in the diaspora to vote. What is now left is just implementation by way of government providing enough resources for them to be able to organize. At least if they can start with the East African countries, we can then progressively be able to expand to the other regions of the world.
Thank you, Comrade Chair. I will leave you to listen on to the rest of the members. I think to the panelists, this is the last panelist that we heard for the evening. Yes, sir.
My last comment is that this law, I've been here in Parliament for a long time, but this law is the law that has enlisted the biggest concern from everywhere, from all corners of society, including the diaspora. Some laws come and they are touching just a specific section of the community, specific section of the country, or either politicians or NGOs, but this one was touching almost the entire community, and everyone has come up to rise up to their voices. So I want to thank the diaspora for coming up openly to raise your concerns, and I can tell you that government has been listening to the extent that we even got information that the president has been listening to what has been happening in Parliament. And the president has this concession by the Attorney General is not just a concession out of nowhere. I think there is some hand from the president to tell him,
Thank you.
We have been listening and we must listen to the people. That's what I got from behind. The president has been listening to the people. We have been listening. And even before Parliament pressed hard, because we had prepared ourselves for a war with the Attorney General and the Minister, we had prepared ourselves for real war. But before even the war commenced, the Attorney General says, no, we must amend. So it's good. Government has listened to us, and I thank you for the pressures that you have put across the globe to ensure that the government listens. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Comrade Chair Baka. And truly, it's not that we are rising up for nothing. If your identity was stolen, what else are you left with if you are declared stateless? Thank you. So to the rest of the audience, now I will start with the questions from the audience. Brian Kwesiga, over to you. Then we follow that. I see Hazel. I see in that order. Colleagues,
thank you.
can you allow Brian to submit? Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Baka, you'll be listening. I will just mute you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Philip, for moderating this session. I thank the Diaspora unit under the leadership of Mr. Mohamed Bagonza, Henry Halali, and Tofa Masco for organizing this webinar series. We really appreciate it, and of course the panelists for sparing their time to come and dialogue with us and answer some of our questions. Mine was initially a question, but towards the end, based on the news we've received, I think maybe I'll change it to a comment. So for council, I guess was I want to thank him for clarifying that the ordinary family support, medical assistance, and remittances for relatives were not the target of the bill. I think that was important. It's just that as a follow-up question or comment is that if that was not the intent of the government or the Attorney General, I think it would be helpful if the language in the bill can be modified to expressly exempt those remittances so that we're just not going off of verbal assurance that, oh, don't worry, it's not part of the bill. So that would, I think, go a long way in if the language that can be used in the next bill, that's the version that's presented, if it is very clear, because I think as we've mentioned before, many of us are okay and we support the intent of the bill, which is protecting Uganda's sovereignty. As many people have said, all countries do this, including the US, where some of us live. But the language that should be used, if it can clarify that, hey, we're not targeting this and this activity on this and this group, our target is this, that would be helpful. And of course, I think the whole idea of defining our fellow citizens, Ugandans, as foreigners, I think was also most disturbing. For Ms. Renee, I also thank her very much for explaining the parliamentary procedure and that this is still a bill and not yet a law. In the final report that the parliament comes up with, if the committee can clearly show what the major stakeholder concerns were accepted, if they do accept some of our concerns, if they can tell us why they were accepted, and if they reject others, if they can tell us why they were rejected, so we can understand where our government, I guess, where basically it's decision-making process that will be helpful to us as people in the diaspora who are involved in engaging the government on various issues. Then for the Honorable, I thank him very much for his candor, definitely. And we also thank him for acknowledging the overreach on the part of the AGs. And if you could perhaps clarify on what he means by substantial surgery, because we are hoping that we're not gonna get just a removal of certain terms, but that the actual draft we'll get will be substantially different in language and scope and in defining that. So again, thank you so much. So that's all the comments I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we are going to have Rebecca and then Isaac Tom Musumba and Grace to make their remarks in that order. Rebecca, Dr. Manoja, I see you. Rebecca, your hand has been up for some time. Rebecca, are you here? If Rebecca, she's not here, we can take Isaac Tom Musumba.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Thank you to all the panelists and all the discussants generally. Mine is a very, I would say, a summary, a response, essentially, from everything that we've had today. As they say here locally in Uganda, the fish rots from the head. Now, in my understanding of everything that has been said, especially by Bwana Charles and I think from the AG's office, what I think is the intention here is political sovereignty, right? Because if you talk about economic sovereignty, you're killing FDI. If you talk about legal sovereignty, we have so many influences in the law. Myself being a lawyer, I mean, our law, our legal system is premised on an external system. We are okay with that. The military, of course, has external influences. We are okay with that. I think the issue here, in summary, is that the government is trying to protect the political or the policy making to safeguard the political sovereignty. So I think it would be helpful to improve from the title, right? Because then it will scope everything downwards. Of course, we'll need to exclude certain things. So when you do say political sovereignty, then obviously the families that are sending money, myself being one of those beneficiaries at one point, even being on the other side in the US, the issue, I think, if I try to summarize and harness all that has been said here, the key target is the political sovereignty. So maybe as we go into the next phase, we can also take that into mind at the very top. Sovereignty is such a broad thing, as Council Andrew said very eloquently. Sovereignty is so broad. It touches on so many things. In fact, it touches on everything. But we are not after each and everything. We are not after repealing the legal system that we are working with, because that is a British influence. We are not after repealing the economic influence. We have IMF coming in. We have so many people that influence our economic policies for the better.
Thank you, Tom.
And I think that's what the doctor was referring to. So thank you for this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Next, we're going to have Grace, Bishop Buyondo, and Father Nwagara. In that order. Grace, are you here? I called you earlier. Grace, if Grace is not responding, please Toffa and mute Bishop Buyondo, and next will be Father David Nwagara. In that order, that's how I see the names. Then Bishop Buyondo or Father Nwagara, any one of them?
Yes, thank you so much. I take up the honor. Just 2 comments. One, a word of gratitude to you, Chair, for organizing this important meeting, and the discussion is just superb. I thank the presenters and the Honorable for the encouraging message that's at least coming. I'm Father David Nwagara. I'm the president of the Ugandans in Malawi. And that said, my question would be, what did the bill intend to achieve? In short, we are looking at this part that has overstepped on our rights. What did it intend to achieve? If I get a little enlightenment about that, I would appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Nwagara, Bishop Buyondo, and then Dr. Manoj. Then I will give the panelists a chance to respond. Remember, this was a 2-hour session, so we need to reply the questions you're raising. However, I think the chairperson has made our day the best. I see some people might be going to take a whiskey this evening. So, Bishop Buyondo, and I see Bishop Buyondo. Are you there?
Thank you. Yes, I am here.
Thank you, Bishop.
Yes, I'm also ready.
Good evening.
Oh, Grace,
Okay.
you'll come after Bishop Buyondo, because thank you.
Oh,
You can mute for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone, wherever you are. My name is Herbert Buyondo, Bishop of Kampala, Born Again Faith, part of the Interreligious Council that presented yesterday. We aired our views, but I'm glad and for having an opportunity being here because of my interaction with, working with the diaspora people. And there's the reason why God has given me this opportunity of being here, being part. But 3 things that I want to raise in here. By God's grace, I've been able to have been in this country the rest of my life, and I've seen different leaders come and go. In terms of ever since this government came, many people have been in different portfolios, and have gone. They have made policies that have affected themselves after they have left offices. So I would love to see anybody formulating like the honorable chairman of the committee of parliament, now who is now, leaving, and he's now MSA retiring because he did not even participate in the elections. Now he's going to be like any other individual in society. You must know.
Your network, Bishop, is not the best. I think we're gonna move Grace, Bishop, to get a better network.
Sure.
Grace, and
Yes.
after Grace will be Tino Mwanjire from Lesotho. Grace and then Daniel. Grace.
Oh, yes. Good evening, members. Good afternoon. Good morning, according to your time. My name is.
When I'm speaking.
Oh, sorry, colleagues. Sorry, Grace. If you can mute the bishop makes his final remark. Bwana Tofa, just mute Grace for a sec and let the bishop make his final remarks. In the holy name of Jesus, I did not intend to do that, Bishop. With due respect, forgive me. Over to you.
Okay, my point here was, when you look at the intention is all about politics and policy formulation influence. So I would request that they focus on that, and bring about the boundaries upon which this law will go. That's one. Two, when the NGO policy was done, the new NGO policy of 2010, I met with Fanda Ronda when they were trying to do the NGO Act that is currently running. He told us, he told me, Bishop, the reason why we are putting up this, and we want you as religious entities to get out of the NGO, is because the NGOs are being used to influence the country in the name of charity, but overriding or going overboard. And that was the purpose. And they tightened the nuts for the NGOs, and you have seen what is going on. So government must come out and isolate and exclude these parties if they are working on certain kind of audience they want to address, but not make something that is so broad and to the extent of even including individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be a policy maker today. Tomorrow, you are not going to be a policy maker, and you'll be a victim of this law that is being made. Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you,
bless
Bishop.
you.
Amen. Amen, Bishop. Amen. Yes. Grace, for the interest of time, colleagues, remember this meeting was supposed to end in the next 12 minutes. I think I will ask members if they will be comfortable with their annex, depending on the questions. I see quite a number of questions here. Another 45 minutes to an hour, if that's acceptable. We'll proceed. I will ask Tofa to do that. It looks like members have been looking for this. Thank you very much, Bishop. Let's go to Grace. Over to you, Grace. Grace 1, Grace 2, Amazing Grace 3. May you respond. In Jesus' name, I leave it to the grace of the Lord. Can we move on to Mr. Tino Mwanjire? Next. Thank you. Mr. Tino Mwanjire.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. My name is John Taino Mwanjire from Lesotho.
Oh, my God.
Okay, but Mr. John Tino Mwanjire, with all the grace, I request that you be paused and we allow Grace to speak. Grace, the floor is yours. By Jesus' name, I submit. Grace, over to you. Allow Grace, Mr. Tofa. Grace, make your submission. Hello, Grace? Grace? Grace, can you speak, please?
Yes, I'm speaking.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, over to you. The floor is yours.
Okay, my name's Grace Kemicha, NRM Chairperson UAE for Diasporians. And my concern is it's all about the Diasporians who are in the Middle East. As you know, the Middle East. And these Diasporians here, they have their complaints about the tax money they are cutting on their salary and their way how they are working. And now they are saying if they put this bill on the table, it will affect them a lot. Like now they are saying if they are sending the money to their parents, if they're doing anything so that they can earn something, it will affect them. Whereby there is a lot of tax they get from their salary. And there is a lot of challenges they are facing. Now they are saying, how will this bill protect them? How will it help them? Is it going to help them or it will affect them? And another concern is all about we as Ugandans, if we are being foreigners here in this country and in our country, how will we gain from our country, or how will we protect our gains? As we have been saying that we are protecting our gains, but this bill, as of now, I can see it is going to affect most of the people in different ways. So my concern is all about that. How I wish the member of parliament, the government of Uganda, could sit down and see how they can really treat us, or how they can leave this bill out of, because now we are going to be taken as if we are foreigners outside, and again back home we are also the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Some of the issues have been addressed. You'll get a recording that you asked. Thank you for making a submission. Take off. Mr. Tinomanjide, next. Thank you, Grace. Mr. Tinomanjide.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. My name again is John Tainomanjiran, and my question is, I must confess that I'm not an expert in legislation, but I was wondering whether it is not possible to specifically outline the key players in exposing the country to the various risks the law is trying to address, so that the law is specific to limiting or to mitigating those risks particularly. For example, who has the capacity to have political influence in a country? Would individuals like myself sending some small money to my mother have money enough to power into an economy to the extent of influencing public opinion or causing a security threat? Certainly not. So my thinking is that I think if the law could be very specific to addressing or to targeting the sources of the threat the law is trying to address. Thank you.
Thank you, John. After John, it's Abdul. Father David, put your hand down. We are going to Abdul, Pade, and Daniel. We've added 30 minutes. That's what people have agreed. So we've added 30 minutes to the time we have so that we can really respond to your questions. So Abdul, where you from? Abdul, your name and which country from? Then after Abdul, it's Pade and then Daniel. Over to you. Abdul, Paddy, or Daniel? Any of the three?
Yes, I'm ready.
Abdul, Paddy.
Paddy speaking.
I'm ready as well.
I see Paddy or Daniel.
Okay, Paddy, go ahead. Paddy, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, moderator. I'm Paddy from Qatar and also a leader in Ugandan community living in Qatar, Doha. So my question goes to the AGO, Mr. Ouma. In his submission, he says that this law doesn't target the family and the economy and so on. So if it doesn't target the family, why would my mother or my dad be registered as an agent of a foreigner? Why would them be
Thank
specific
you.
on what they want? Let me just finish one. Another thing, since the government has rendered us to be foreigners, will they reconsider refunding or stopping taxing us because of been paying tax through remittances? Another thing is saying we can go to court and challenge. Why would we wait to go to court to challenge this bill if there's still all time to do what to modify this or like to remove a clause like defining a Uganda living abroad as a foreigner? I also want to ask the office of the AG, have they had of the suffering of
Sorry,
the
sorry for the interjection, Paddy. Some of the points you've raised, I don't know if you listened to the chairperson of the legal committee. He has explained to you, he has handled most of those, and they are working on the law. When it is reviewed, we are going to get the revised version of the law from the chairperson, and we convene another meeting here to discuss the revised aspects. Thank you very much, Mr. Paddy. Apologies for that, for the interest to give everybody a chance. I appreciate my brother in Qatar. Assalamu alaikum balkat. Let's go to Daniel. Over to you, Mr. Daniel Echun. Thank you, Doc. Hi,
Thank you
Daniel.
very much. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much. And Philip, I'd like to congratulate you on an excellent conducting of this session. I am the chairman of the Confederation of Ugandans in Southern Africa, and I'm a medical doctor by profession. Mine is both a comment and also a suggestion. Now, we heard very eloquent legal arguments from our legal brothers and also from the proponents of this bill, who are representatives of the people. Two things. Number one, we must not forget, this is a word of caution to our legislators, we must never forget that you are representing we the people, whether in the diaspora or anywhere else at home or wherever. And it is very clear from the response that the perception of what this bill means has caused a lot of distress. Your legal arguments may make sense in that ecosystem, but at the end of the day, you are looking at your beneficiaries, the people you represent, and therefore you must be cautious, as Brian said, that the language is what causes the perceptions, real or imagined, the misunderstandings. And also, the second thing is it affects the confidence. The world of business, commerce, and everything else works on confidence. The minute you start to erode the confidence of your people, you have a big problem. So in crafting and wording this new bill, you have to take seriously what impact does it have in those perceptions? What impact will it have on the confidence of our citizens at home and abroad? So that is the comment and caution I'd like to make. The second thing is that the sponsor of the bill, the Minister of Internal Affairs, is taking on a huge responsibility. And I know our learned colleagues say there's recourse to the courts, but who wants to go to the courts after the damage is done, after the horse has bolted? And there's a lot of sophisticated schemes And the kind of people doing this are sophisticated. They have resources, they have means. So in our bill, new bill, we have to incorporate the ability and capacity to use similar means to track, trace, and predict and target subversive elements who are doing this. So somewhere in the bill, you'll find out how. We must incorporate the use of AI to track, identify these targets. As John Mugira said, we must be more focused and target the perpetrators who are undermining our political and economic sovereignty. So we need to be more sophisticated in the way that we craft the bills and give it enablement to actually be implemented. In Albania, they have a system of procurement, and the Minister of Procurement is actually an AI, so that there is sophisticated implementation means, which obviously can be audited and monitored by human oversight as well. So those are my comments. And again, I want to emphasize, at the end of the day, is this bill creating the right perceptions? Is this bill holding the confidence of the people on the ground
Thank
that our
you.
representatives are doing their job? Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. We're going to have 3 more people to make submissions. Lawrence from the UK and Kenneth. And then we shall give our panel, Dr. Manoj, I don't know if you are still with us. Yes, will be the last person. Then
I'm still with you.
Okay, yes.
I'm
So
not even, I haven't even moved my eyelid. My eyelids are open.
Okay, so now I will have Rollins from UK, Kenneth, and Dr. Manoj will be last. Then we give the panelists to respond to all these questions. I hope they will get them, but I was writing some where they fall, where they fail. I'll be able to bring them to speed. Over to you, Rollins. And next is Kenneth and Dr. Manoj. Then I will give the very first person to respond will be our land lawyer, advisor of government, the Attorney General. Then we shall give Miss Rani to give remarks. We shall give our brother, the advocate, Andrew, and lastly, the last man with a big message here, with the great good news, the Jesus Christ, the one and only, Baka. So, in that order, Daniel, rather Roland.
Hello, good evening, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Mine will be just a big thanks after hearing all the speakers, mostly the chairman of the committee and the land Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, is it? I'll just give a big thanks to you, Chairman, to the moderator, Mr. Philip. I think this has been the biggest webinar I've attended and an eye-opener. For me, it will be already an early opening of the wine bottle, I would say, because my biggest problem was becoming a foreigner in my own country. That was my biggest worry. But from the assurances of the chairman, I have no doubt that that won't pass. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you, and hopefully we get a better bill. Everyone loves sovereignty, and we have fought for it. So, thank you all.
You are welcome, Lawrence. That's your right of birth, your right of ancestry. And as Diaspora, we're going to organize the greatest gift to this chairman. Since he's even retiring, we look for him. We shall revenge on him as long as he's still there. In Uganda, we shall find him, never mind. Let's go to Kenneth. You put your hand down, Lawrence. Kenneth, over to you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My questions are going to be very direct, and the bill is not in the interest of Ugandan citizens. First of all, the bill has got a very big effect on the constitutionality of the Ugandans, particularly Article number 1 of the Ugandan Constitution. And when you look at that, it will really affect the freedom of expression and association. This bill is not good at all on the side of the economy. The bill affects the Uganda's economy, particularly in terms of the foreign investment. And this bill, it will have a potential economic consequences. Really, the policymakers and the lawmakers, they need to look at that particularly. We would like to have bills which could attract the foreign investment directly to Uganda. The human rights side and the civic space, the bill has got a huge impact on the human rights. All of us, we know that this bill is targeting the NGOs, the civil societies, and some individuals. But really, when you look at that and you compare it with developed countries, you will look that this bill needs to separate the power. The separation of the powers are needed. The bill concentrates too much power in the parliament, lawmakers, and so on. So really, this is not a very good mechanism which we could use to improve or to grow our country.
Thank you, Bwana Kenneth. The time is against us, and the extended time is limited. But our legal chairperson, Mr. Baka, the one and only, we can add on the prophet, the Messiah, has elaborated some of these issues. He is not going to let us down. Trusted hands of Rani. She's just superb. The land attorney solicitor general. So we are in good hands. We can drive in the bus comfortably. So now, to everyone, thank you, Kenneth. I will call on Dr. Menoj. Oh, there is iPhone Van Rose. Where is iPhone Van Rose from? And then Dr. Minaj closes on the public comments. iPhone Van Rose?
Yes, iPhone Van Rose is from the Netherlands. If you see something like Van Dijk, Van Dit, Van Dat, we are from the Netherlands.
Ma'am. Even here in South Africa, we have the Van Ruyden, Van Ransen, Van Run.
Yeah, because you are our colony. Understand?
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Van Rose, make your submission.
I just want to thank you for the explanation. I've been on from the first minute. Speaking about foreigners, siwulira bulungi olwezwemba already wano njogera luzungu n'oludaaki okuba nga njogera nammwe nga njogera mu luzungu munansonyiwa. I just came here to thank you n'okwebaza Honorable Bagonza for always taking effort okutuorganizingira bino ebintu tumanye ekigenda maaso because tubadde tetwebaka. And I hope bill eno bwenaavaayo ngeri revised bye mwogeddeko byonna bijja kubanga mwebiri nga bwe mubyogeddeko so that we can sleep here in these foreign countries ne bwe tunaakomawo Uganda twebake. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Dr. Menoj, you are the last public speaker to make your remarks, and I hand over to the panelists to sum up this great discussion. What a discuss. Thank you.
I add my thanks to all the thanks that have already been expressed to the panelists and to our distinguished leaders who are drafting this bill. So my core message is support the objective of the sovereignty bill. We are not arguing, but we want to fix the drafting to protect the economy, the diaspora, and the due process. Why? Because it affects ordinary families directly. When remittances drop, people feel it immediately, and confidence and a lack of it makes it disappear very fast. Unclear rules drive money away. And my key messages and phrases are: intent must be clear, mens rea. and material harm threshold must be refined and properly with precision defined. The legal certainty must be clear, and the proportionality of the regulation is a must. So we've been quoted different countries and their laws and regulations. They don't have this kind of draconian penalties and laborious processes. So we got to be mindful of that. In the
Asante Nisana.
interest of time, I'll just say thank you very much. We support you, but judicial oversight at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To the public, you've been a great audience. Can I now go back to our panelists? They've heard you, they've listened, they've told us of Azira's surgical, hey, foreigner is gonna go. That's where they are starting. Whom do I start with on our panelists? I need Andrew, if his concerns have been dealt with. My brother, advocate, Land Pharaoh, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Chair. And my closing remarks will be very brief. One, Chair, I want to inform the panel that I was a member of the Ministerial Committee on Human Rights. And on that committee, we used to defend this country on the aspect of how we have handled the rights, and therefore report as such on the fulfillment of the different protocols like the Maputo Protocol, the Geneva Convention on civil and people's and political rights, the UN Convention, and every year I want to inform you, Mr. Chair, that report to the international community on that matter. Therefore, that informs my decision and proposal to the rest of the colleagues that this bill is not a do or die. I want to emphasize the point on clustering which particular laws fall under which already existing acts of the law. The protection of sovereignty bill is not a bill cast in stone. And I have not heard anyone, or even the defenders and promoters and funders of this law, inform us of what could happen in case this law is not implemented. I beg to submit. Thank you so much, sir.
I think we are struggling to hear this gentleman. Andrew.
He had concluded his statements, I think.
And Andrew.
Hello.
Hello, Andrew. We are with you. Andrew, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Can I proceed, sir?
Yeah, you proceed. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I was submitting towards a point that Uganda has ratified so many laws, like the Maputo Protocol, the Geneva Convention on people on civil and political rights, the UN Convention. We are part of a member state of the United Nations, therefore we subscribe the UN Charter. And that becomes my decision, having been a member of the Interministerial Committee on Human Rights. Reporting internationally on the different sites and executions outside the country of Uganda. That is why it is my persistent premise that instead of choosing this law that has seemed quite unpopular, we can pick out particular amendments that can fit in the existing laws, like I earlier stated. The Finance Services Act, the Penal Code, the Anti-Money Act, the EPDF Act, rather than posting a law that the people have strongly denied. Nonetheless, the promoters of the law, the funders of the bill, and the draftsmen of this bill
have not given any reason for which it should pass. And what would be the consequences, the adverse consequences of it not being passed into law? I want to thank you for being such a wonderful audience and so thanks for being such a wonderful leader on this session. Thank you very much.
You're most appreciated, Andrew, and your points are very well clearly elaborated on international law, on the ratified agreements Uganda is subject to. I strongly believe that the land government advisor, the Solicitor General here present, has understood them and he has taken note of them. He has heard our voices, and truly, we must thank him. Andrew is part of the legal team of the Diaspora State House of the one and only Comrade Bagonza, who deserves a big round of applause for organizing this event. To his colleague and deputy, the one and only Henry Wabiona, who has been coordinating all these things. A big thumbs up to you. And our IT guy, the coordinator of the desk, the one and only Tofa Masiko. You are such a brilliant gentleman. Keep up the good job. A big round of applause. Now we're going to move to the lady of processes, because we're worried that indeed the bill is the law. As we've been informed, people were worried that indeed everyone has been, you heard, ntabanamasaka bavuddeyo nibagamba nti n'omwanyi tebagenda kukunda. So kati olaba awo kitegeeza batubuzaabuza. Kati now let's listen to the lady of processes tell us when are they reviewing it, when it comes back, when will she give us a copy, are we going to make an input, and before it becomes law. Madam Lady Process, our hands are in your process. Over to you, Madam. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for giving me time to wrap up. I still insist a bill is not law. There are due processes. There are 4, 5 stages that make them law. And I want to say that we began and we are together with everybody. I want also to tell all the stakeholders that your concerns are going to be not looked at but considered. They are all going to be incorporated because you all have the same concern and similar concern. Parliament cares for its citizens. You're part of us. We treasure you. We value you. You provide a lot for our country, and therefore you are important people to us. I want, on behalf of the clerk, and by the way, I want to thank the diaspora for the engagement. We had the stakeholders who turned up, the announcements that were made, and the stakeholders turned up on short notice. We don't take it for granted. That shows that you are also very concerned about your country. Gratitude on behalf of the clerk to Parliament. I want to thank my chair, my boss, for on short notice to put him online with all the discomfort and the phone and the microphones. But it was important he's here. I want to thank the State House Diaspora Unit. Thank you so much, Haji Bagonza. Thank you for this, because if we leave information without clarification, we might have a disarrayed situation. But I'm glad that as we go home to sleep tonight, we are happy and we are all following. To all the diasporans, thank you so much for the participation in this and even in Parliament. And we encourage and we still take your views about the information, about the report that will come from the committee. We shall share it. We are together in this. And just know that we will keep you very informed.
Thank you.
Country. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Process. We shall indeed discuss it with you when it comes back for review. We shall reconvene here. You take us through the process. You tell us how far we've gone and when is it to be signed. And we hope that indeed we shall have all the stakeholders on behalf of the diaspora take back our good news to the Clerk of Parliament that you've met the diasporians, the 3 million people out there. They still have a lot to discuss with him, that when we knock on the door, he should not close the doors. We are still Ugandans. We are not foreign, but we are part of the process as we build the country. Thank you very much, Madam. Rennie Ismail, for your great closing words. Next, we're going to hear, thank you, ma'am. We are going to hear from the, I don't know if it is protocol-wise acceptable that I start with the Attorney General, then I go to the chairperson of the committee. Whom should I call? Madam Process. Let me not flout the process. Whom do I begin with? Madam Rennie? Do I call the Deputy Attorney General? I call the chairperson.
I think finish with the technical people and we close with the politician.
With a politician. Now, my brother Charles, you can hear we don't want our money to be taken by law firms and say we have lost the case, government has lost the case, because from this law, the way it looks like, if we fail, we're going to go to the East African court. If we fail, we shall be in international court because we're going to be declared international stateless foreigners. Now, do you want 3 million Ugandan stateless foreigners? I'm glad the fellow from the chairperson from parliament has said it was overzealous and overreach from the sponsors. The bill had so many rough edges. We need to make sure we purify them. We need to stabilize them, and they should not affect our families and those between the foreigner and the agent. We are Ugandans. We can be called any other name. Abagwira, Bachem Twitter. Tuja kutambulira wao. Over to you, Mr. Charles Ouma, the Deputy Attorney General. Thank you, sir. The floor is yours.
Just some correction. My designation is Deputy Solicitor General.
Solicitor General. Oh, apologies. Yes.
I don't want to arrive in office tomorrow and I'm being shown the door for holding out.
And Wakafuzi says you've taken his job.
Yes, please. Now, I think a few comments. I think this particular webinar is reflective of where we have come as a country, and we should really celebrate where we have come. I don't think several years ago we would be having this kind of dialogue. What we would be discussing, like Rani said, would be a law, which would possibly have come in the form of a decree. And that means that it would have taken effect immediately. But over time, democracy has evolved, the country is growing, and what we currently have is dialogue with the citizenry, dialogue between the leaders, between civil servants, and also the legislators. So it's something that is worth celebrating. So let's not take this for granted. Now, Rani has run through the process. Definitely, these kinds of matters start off as principles from a particular ministry. They'll run to cabinet. There'll be a discussion there. There will be instructions to prepare a draft. The draft will run to a bill will run to Parliament. Parliament will send it to a committee and then even back to the plenary. So in all this, there is quite some interaction. Okay, so the citizenry is involved, everyone, at least who is civic conscious, participates. And the fact that even at this point, the diaspora has reflected interest is something worth celebrating. Now, getting back to the bill and the comments that have been made, definitely, I can't say our ears have been closed. We have been listening to people. We have been listening to different quarters, the stakeholders making commentary on this particular law. We have been taking notes. Unlike the chairperson of the committee on legal affairs indicated, it's a work in progress. They have received a litany of memos and representations by society generally. I believe they'll do their work. They represent us as a people. They represent us as Ugandans. And eventually, when this gets to the plenary, I believe the General Parliament will have a good conversation about this, because a law should be made in the name of the people. And the interest of the people has got to be heard. But one thing I need also to tell people is that you won't get possibly everything you desire in the way in which you want it. Now, the way government is structured is that if you feel strongly about some point which possibly might have been left out, when I make reference to challenge, for instance, in a court of law, it's not that it's something which is wrong. You have every right to raise an issue in a certain forum. The alternative choice would have been to go on the streets and start fighting, quarreling, okay, causing chaos. But the way the system is laid out is that a law will be passed by the legislature. If someone wants to test a particular provision, they can still go ahead and even test it in a court of law. But before we go to the courts, as the legislature, we have got to make sure that whatever we eventually pass is reflective of the will of the people, but is also consistent with the Constitution. So I believe the conversation we have had today will continue up to the day when possibly this law is eventually passed. But as to whether we need a law on sovereignty in addition to the Constitution, I would like to encourage each and every one of us to continue to support it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Charles. A big thumbs up. Thank you so much. And we do appreciate as we walk this journey until we see the sovereignty bill become into law. Our sovereignty is guaranteed. It needs to be protected and honored, if I get that. And truly, in the most challenging of times, when the international law is out, we could be vulnerable only to wake up that there was $64 million in the country. We don't know who benefited from it. With that, I yield the floor. I'm going to contact within a minute, the chairperson of the committee in a few, but a special announcement that the next webinar from the State House Diaspora Desk is on Wednesday, and it's about documentation and citizenship, national IDs, body repatriation, dual citizenship, and a complete guide for Ugandans abroad. And to those that have not had a chance for their questions to be answered or listened to, you can email your questions to an email very clearly, info@diasporaaffairs.go.ug. I repeat, for those whose questions have not been answered, we shall direct them to relevant email, info at diaspora affairs as one word .go.ug, or you reach out to the members on the group of the Diaspora Affairs group. I think I see more than 800 members, and you'll be able to get the contacts of Mr. Toffer, Mr. Bagonza, and Comrade Henry on how to reach and send your views. It is a process. We are still engaging the discourse, and for sure, by the time we get the review, all shall be answered. I beg now to call upon the land fellow, the chairperson of the committee, Honorable Baka Mugabi, the member of parliament for Bukoli, and who has been in parliament for 15 years, and he has sought a retirement into private life. I'm trying to reach him. You know, you might find these land fellows are somewhere, but hello, Rennie, can you reach out to the chairperson, please? I'm trying, but his phone is, maybe I call him direct, as his WhatsApp, the network is off. Let me give him a direct call. Sorry, members.
He said he was going in a dinner, diplomatic dinner.
No, that was Bagonza. That was Bagonza and Henry.
He's waiting for your call.
Okay, Comrade Chair, can I call you on WhatsApp because I couldn't reach you on WhatsApp? Do you have network?
Yeah, I'm available.
Okay. I don't know what's happening, but let me reach out to him direct anyway. Let's fight for our country. The taxpayers will pay us. Don't worry. Honorable Chair, go ahead on. They will listen to you. Don't mind WhatsApp. I don't know why you are not going through, but the members are listening, and everybody has. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I wish to appreciate once again the organizers of this arrangement, and of course the panelists, and the contributions from the public. Those who have contributed, they were quite resourceful. I wish to thank you. Now, I just wanted to give you a picture on how we are going to move as a committee. Today we had a break. Members have gone into solitary confinement, trying to understand the views of the stakeholders, try to read, try to research, and come up with positions. Because as members, they don't just pick the views of the stakeholders wholesale. They have to sieve and then be able to come up with their own position. So then tomorrow, we will present our positions in a meeting with the Attorney General to be able to harmonize. And then on Friday is Labor Day. Uganda is a public holiday, so again we will be off. And then Saturday we will check in a retreat. I think that will be either Munyonyo or Serena for Saturday and Sunday. And in that meeting, we then go into a detailed debate. And in that debate, we handle clause by clause. Debate that clause, look at the proposed amendments by the Attorney General, look at the proposed amendments by the members, and then agree on the final text on how a clause should look like, considering the concessions by the Attorney General and the members' views. Then you agree on the final text of a clause. So you start from clause 1 and go to clause 2, you go to clause 3. All the 30 clauses are subjected to debate, scrutiny, until you agree on the final text. So it's going to be very intensive on Saturday and Sunday. And then by Sunday evening, we are hoping that we shall have agreed on all the 30 clauses. And in that Saturday meeting and Sunday, the Attorney General does not attend, because now that is now complete. The Attorney General will give us just the final text on his proposed amendments. And then those proposed amendments are subjected to further debate by the members. So that tomorrow's meeting just received the proposed amendments from the Attorney General. He will listen to us and then tell us what he can give as a concession. So Saturday and Sunday now, the final debate, clause by clause, which takes us to Sunday evening, and by that time we hope we shall have concluded the debate on clauses, and then our final report will be ready by Monday. Monday, the whole day, we can then be able to append our signatures. And I'm told, I've not checked, but I'm told the speaker has called House for Tuesday. And on the other paper of Tuesday, there is that bill for second. About we are coming to the 30 weeks since issues of the sovereignty bill started being debated in Uganda. And the pressures have been so high, people have been now worried. There is a lot of pressure. At least for the next 5 days until Tuesday when we pass the bill, I want to give an assurance to members on this forum who are listening that we are not just talking of exclusions, we are just not talking of proposed amendments. I'm quite sure from what I heard in today's meeting and from what the members have agreed and have already discussed through phone calls and all that, we are even going to do exclusion, because there is a member who said members should not just talk, the chairman should not just talk of that the bill is indicating like this and this, but without specific exclusion. We are going to be very specific on exclusions. For example, we are not just talking of excluding diaspora from the definition of a foreigner, but going ahead to exclude any transaction relating to diaspora, non-Ugandan, a non-resident Ugandan. All those transactions are excluded from the purview of this bill. Such that money that is sent by a diaspora member for family, for development, for anything is excluded from this bill. So then we are also talking of exclusion, for example, for the entire banking sector, as you heard from the submission of the Governor Bank of Uganda. So we are going to do specific exclusions. Faith-based organizations are going to be excluded. Diaspora are going to be excluded. The banking sector are going to be excluded. NGOs that are involved in charity are going to be excluded. Professionals, medical professionals, universities, academic institutions are going to be excluded. money that comes here for research is going to be excluded. So those exclusions are going to be named in the bill, not just an argument that no, these ones are out of the bill. No, we are going to provide for exclusions, like that we know the bill is precise and clear on what the intention of the bill is. And as you have heard from most colleagues who have talked, the bill is targeting money that comes in for subversive activities. We are not just talking of any money that comes in for subversive activities to destabilize Uganda, money that comes in to destabilize government policy, to oppose, not to empower Ugandans to be able to participate in democratic governance, not to shrink civic space. That's money that is different. We are talking of money that comes in specifically for subversive activities in the interest of a foreigner. That cannot be money from a diaspora member. That cannot be money from a banking, an external bank that is coming to capitalize a bank in Uganda. That cannot be money that is coming in for charity. That cannot be money that is coming for church. That cannot be money that is coming for research, medical research or academic research. So all those ones, we want them to be very clear in the bill to ensure that we are targeting an area that we all know can be abused. And that is money that comes in for subversive activities in the interests of a foreigner. So I want to give an assurance to the Dutch lady who said she's from Netherlands, that there is no problem.
No mulalo wa UK. Lawrence yagambye ali ku risk. I know.
For South Africa, that one the Deputy Solicitor General has said it, that you're not going to get everything in this bill. Wobango the politician, ngoli wawe msebo. Oyagala kusindika wano sente. Police member wa diaspora, or get off next sent from a foreigner in the UK.
Grace, please mute. Yes.
And then be able to promote the foreign policy which is adverse to the interests of Uganda. That man, of course, will be trapped. I don't know what AI. Uganda can even be trapped on AI. There is even the technology is there to be able to track this money. That money is coming here, fund the backer, like that backer goes through and says there is no irrigation, for example, on the river Nile in the interest of Egypt. I'm just giving an example. That when the backer goes to Parliament, it's funded by Egypt. He goes through, like that he can bring a bill to say no irrigation in Uganda, like that Egypt can get all the Nile waters untouched from Uganda. That would be a subversive government influence. So all those ones can be tracked, but the final assurance I want to give you is that the bill is going to be scrutinized clause by clause, and the members of Parliament, your representatives, are very alert. This time around, everyone is alert to ensure that we do a good law. I thank you so much, State House Diaspora Unit. I thank you so much, the members who have been on the line, Rani, Charles, everyone else. Thank you so much, and that lawyer, that international lawyer. Thank you so much for your contribution. God bless you, and have a good night.
Thank you, Bwana Mugabe. How can we say we love our country, we love the sovereignty, we want to preserve our culture, we don't want, we still need to afford 50 by 100, not when money has come from the Sudan and we cannot afford, we are kicked and we go to the villages. We want to see our Ugandans participate in the economy, not Eritreans alone. We want to see our institutions grow through research. We want to be part of the global world. We don't want to see the hidden money, but all we are saying, how can we be counted as Ugandans not to be deprived of our rights? All we are saying, who's this super ombudsman? We've seen a super minister before, who was an attorney general, who was a security minister, who was until we said, oh no, we've got another super one. Thanks for preserving our country and for caring about us. Think that Ugandans, the 3 million Ugandans out of Uganda, are still part of Uganda, and we support our families. And it's for that reason that we are very pertinent about this law, not that we hate it. We want to be part of the process of engagement, and may you continue to engage us in future and now. And when the law is reviewed and the bill presented to Parliament, may we have a copy, maybe for the members' interest, to review and see what has been passed. With that, we salute you for sparing your time to be with us. We still remain patriotic Ugandans. We love Uganda, and Uganda is our home, not any other home. Asante sana, wandugu, asante sana. To the audience,
Thank you.
we want to thank you for being patient with us. We had told you 2 hours. We ended up going for 3 hours. What kind of Ugandans are patriotic? Patriotic Ugandans, you can see them. We care about our country. We love our jobs, but this was taking our dignity and our values. I thank you all. Have a great evening. Mr. Chairperson, we hear from you again. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, colleagues, that's the chairperson of the Parliamentary Legal Committee. He has told you to go and drink your wines, drink your whiskeys. The law is under review. You've been heard. The cries have been heard. And I want all of us to say thank you to the Diaspora State House unit, that it's a unit that cares, is a diaspora that listens, and a diaspora that engages. May we give a big thumbs up to Mr. Bagonza and Henry for their team and coordination. And can we say thank you once again to Mr. Tofa Masiko for coordinating this? It was all well done. Asante sana ndugu. And to all our panelists, from Mr. Charles Owurma, we now know the job of the Solicitor General. What can we say? You are such a brilliant man. To Rane Ismail, our doors to Parliament are open. To Mr. Peter Deke, our Director in charge of Diaspora Affairs, Parliament of Uganda, thank you for attending with us. To our fellow leaders, may you be a great team until we meet again. The next webinar is on Wednesday about diaspora, and we love you. May God bless you. Pastor and Bishop Buyondo, Father Nwagaba, thank you for your prayers. It has all been good. Have a blessed day and a great evening to you all. I thank you. I salute you all. I remain Philip Kakuru, one and only. Thank you.
United we stand.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so
Baba.
much. It was a